Hello,
Hey,
hello. Oh,
hey. Hello,
hello, hello.
hello.
Hi, everyone. This is Dave and Roxanne.
Welcome to another episode of It's a New Day,
It's
It's
a
a
new
New You.
you.
If this is the first time you're tuning into our business page, we do these episodes once, twice, sometimes over three times per week. And the goal of this episode is to encourage you, to inspire you that if you had a tough day yesterday, there's always a new day to become a new you, to become all that God created you to be.
Yeah, so we currently in our home in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We always love to know how global we are in this community. Comment, what country or what city, what state you're tuning in from.
So every time we do a new day, new you, we always phrase it in a question. And the question today is
Actually, it's not a
it's not a
question.
question today, okay? What was the three hard things we did?
Yes. So it's our journey to eliminate 86,000 of consumer debts. The three hard things we did.
So I'll ask you a question. If you're watching this live or replay, what do you think was the three hard things we did? I think we added a bonus one, a fourth one. I
Oh
think
yeah, we
yeah,
did. Yes,
we actually
yes.
have a bonus one. We said three hard things, but we're going to give you a bonus to today. Stick to the very end. So if you're watching this live right now or replay, what do you think was the three hard things we did to be able to pay off $86,000 in consumer debt? And
Yeah. So for us, we started, I think, this journey, a long time ago. But 4 years ago, we were, buried in a mountain of debts, 86,000 consumer debts because of our past failures, our businesses before, and of course, our personal spending,
stupidity.
stupidity,
Yeah.
our failed investments, and all that. So we accumulated that amount, and we were put in a situation where we lost our jobs, and it's a wake up call.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. The 86,000, it was an accumulation, as Roxanne said. So, they say it's called death by the small cuts. Travel here, travel there. Spend here, spend there, right? And before you know it, it was a mountain of debt, right? And we always shared this that there was a certain point that Roxanne was so frustrated because every time we would do a budget before it wasn't a budget, it
Yeah.
was a fight, right? Because I wanted to just ignore it and say, no, let's focus on out earning ourselves, out earning our stupidity to,
No, you were saying that we don't need to look at it because we don't want to attract debts.
yeah,
Like you always say that just focus on making more money, right?
hmm,
That way we can pay it off.
that's
So
right. So
that's really not a good thing.
it wasn't a good strategy because after 10 years we were still in the same spot. So it wasn't until that Roxanne you heard, is it from Joyce Mayer?
Yeah. So one, I think, in one of the sermon of Joyce Mayer in the podcast, in her app, I heard about the Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey, and I searched for it, what it is about getting out of debts, and that's when we took on this journey.
Yeah, and wasn't an easy journey. There was a lot of hard things we did, but we want to share with you the four hard things we did, and hope it can help you. That allowed us to pay off, to cut the story short. In 16 months, we were able to pay off $86,000 in consumer debt. Right, so
Yeah. So the first thing is, number one is we take 100%
that's
responsibility.
right. 100. Yeah,
So we finally, when we were faced in, we actually calculated everything. We look at our bank accounts, everything that we owe, the credit cards. We tally everything, and we did. You know what? This is our fault.
mhm.
It's our fault. We had to face it and not ignore it, because it's easy to ignore. It's easy to say, oh, we just don't earn a lot, right?
Yeah. That was my strategy before. Ignore it. As I mentioned earlier, like I didn't want to to sit down and look at our finance and budget because I knew we had a lot of debts. I didn't know
Mhm.
exactly how much, but to see it in front of me, how much was the total debts, it was crazy. But more importantly, it was also kind of an important part of our journey because we knew exactly where we are.
Mhm.
Because you can't go to where you want to be if you don't know where you are. So we took 100% of it. It's not their fault. It's not circumstance. It's not the business we failed. It was us. It was our fault. That
Yeah.
was the first step. Because if you don't take this first step, then you won't have control. Because if you say it's their fault, then they have control. But
Mm-hmm.
when you say now it's my fault, that's when we realize, and we learn this from the, from the total money over. That's when you can have control over your finances, right? So
Yeah. So the second thing that we did is we removed debt out of the option table.
yeah.
So we said, okay, from the Total Money Makeover book by Dave Ramsey, that's the book that opened our mind. It's basically a biblical principle on how to handle money, finances. And you know what? We actually decided that, in everything that we do, we have to use cash. We have to use our debit instead of credit, right? And when we did that, for some reason, we're able to handle the
it
finances
was really
better.
hard because we were so used to having the credit card as our safety net.
Or emergency
Emergency. How
fund.
many of you guys
Yeah.
can relate to that? Just say yes if if you can relate to that. That at least you have your credit card to to save you from whatever
Mm-hmm.
challenge you have. The steps in that total makeover says have 1,000 for your emergency, and then get rid of the credit card. Don't have it on site, or cut it if you can. For us, we cut it temporarily, but we didn't close it, but it wasn't in our wallets anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had 1,000 emergency fund. It was really hard, right?
And it was scary. I think that was
Mm.
very scary for us, to know that we don't have that option. And but you know what? When you're faithful to God, and when you do the plan, right, which is from the Total Money Makeover, for some reason, like the Murphy's laws is not there, right? When you're protected from all the emergencies.
Yeah, human beings are very resourceful when the option is removed. If you remove it out of the table, human being has this innate ability to be resourceful, to find other ways
Mm-hmm.
to generate the income to pay for that, or to or to take care of something, right? So, for example, when we started our online business, right, it required some things to run the business, right? Because any business requires resources, right? So because debt wasn't an option anymore, right? It was really hard for us in the beginning, but we became resourceful, and we're gonna talk about that as a bonus, right? To find that money. So we didn't use any of our credit cards to run our business, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was the first time ever, because anything that we would do business, whatever, right? We would say, okay, we have a credit card, it's gonna pay us, there's gonna be a return. But this is the first time, right? This is the first time we said it's not in the option tables. We're not gonna use credit cards, debts to run our business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mind blowing for a lot of people, but it was a refinement of our
Yeah.
character, right? Because that wasn't working for 10 years. We kept using loans, credit cards,
Yeah.
anything to run our business, and it got us to $86,000 in consumer debt, right?
Yeah. So the third one after that is we actually commit to a budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was hard for us because, as we
Roxanne wanted to do a budget. I didn't want to do a budget.
yeah, because it's detailed, right? And for when we do a budget before, it's we always argue about it, and even myself, I will say there's nothing to budget, right?
Mm.
But then when we commit to a budget and stick to it and do the budget every single day, every single week, or every single month, then our life actually becomes easier. That's when we know the ins and outs, and when the money comes in, there's no holes that
Yeah.
it doesn't, you still have money left. I realized that we sometimes it's just the management of the money, and that's how we were able to pay it off. Like, every single month we have something to pay off for our debts. And in the beginning it was hard because during that time, we didn't have any full-time jobs. We didn't have our business at the time yet. And it was, the money did, like, it there's no money, that much money to budget, but we still committed to a budget even though we have little money at the
Yeah,
time.
again, human beings are very resourceful if you're giving them limits, and you have a reason why, a strong reason why. So, for example, like, it was hard because we had to say no to a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Groceries, we had to cut it. The things that we used to buy, we said no because it's not within the budget,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes we want to go on a date, we run out of the budget for going out, we had to say no, right? Travels, we had to say no for a while, for a
Yeah.
season, right? Like, for a while, for a long time, because
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't in the budget, right? And again, it's amazing when you track everything, right? It's easy to improve because anything measured can be improved. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we wasn't improving in our finances because we didn't know how to measure it. We didn't budget it. We had no idea how much was coming in, coming out. It's hard in the beginning, but after 2, 3 months, 4 months, you get used to it. You get to learn. You adjust. Human beings are very good in adjusting.
Yeah.
We adjust in that lifestyle, in how much we could spend in a month. And it was really hard, but it was really good, right?
Yeah. So the last one,
The
which is the
bonus one.
bonus, is the concept Gazelle Intense. We
Mm.
were Gazelle Intense. This is the things that we learned from the Total Money Makeover book by Dave Ramsey. To the Gazelle Intense is, you have that intensity, that focus, that for the next 18 to 24 months, that's all you think. How can you pay that
Yeah.
off? Saying no, committing to a budget, just really like 100% commitment. And for some reason, when you're Gazelle Intense in one thing, resources will come, more money comes in. And how we did the Gazelle Intense is really we did a lot of side hustles
Mm.
aside from our full-time jobs. We did some cleaning, we sold our Mercedes Benz, we did our online business on the side. And when you're Gazelle Intense, for some reason God will prosper the work of your hands.
Yeah, you know why they use the word gazelle? Because in the wild, right, there's two animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the animals is hungry, which is the cheetah. One of them is the gazelle, which is the lunch, right? So the cheetah is hungry, is running for lunch, but the gazelle is running for their life. And this is what interesting about this, right? The cheetah is the fastest mammal on dry land. It's so fast, right? Runs
Mm-hmm.
3 times faster than the gazelle, but on a chase, I think on a chase of 14 gazelles, they can only catch one. Why? Because of the intensity. What we realize that if you put intensity in anything you do, right, you can achieve anything, right?
Yeah.
And that is, I would say, if there was one thing that allowed us to pay up $86,000 in consumer debt, this is the bonus one, is because of how intense we are, how mad we are about our debt, how
Mm.
how focused we are in doing the side things that we did, that we were so intense, like, we're going to do a budget, we're so intense about that, we're going to say, we're going to follow the steps, we're so intense about that, debt is not an option, we're so intense about that, and we were so mad at this, is the intensity that we were running for our life.
Mm-hmm.
And intensity gives you some altitude, and intensity will give you result, right? Because it's the energy you put into this thing. So if there was anything here um, that 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 really, I think, helped us, was the hardest thing, was the intensity. If we give it intensity, whatever it is, and if you were in our situation, right, do those hard things. And so I want to ask you, if this watching this live or replay, what's one thing you would love to, you're gonna apply? What's one thing you're gonna apply um,
To eliminate
to
any
eliminate
debts.
debts if you're in debt, right?
So the
Um,
first one is really take 100% responsibility, right? And then second is remove debt out of the option table, because when you remove it, you're focused on being resourceful. What can I do differently? What can I do for on how to eliminate those debts, right? As third one is commit to a budget, and number four is Gazelle Intense.
Gazelle intensity, baby. Gazelle intensity. That's the key. So I hope we give you value. We always end with a verse, and the verse today is,
On second here. Hi, Sis Janet. Hello, coaches. Hello, hello. Annie watching from New Zealand. You're welcome. Vicky, you were running for your life. Yes.
yeah.
That's why. That's the reason why we're here, running for our lives. Watching from Michigan. Hello, Lizelle. Good to see you here. Watching from California, Glennie and Regine. Janet Ramayas watching from Edmonton. Sana watching from Boston, and Helena watching from Ottawa, Ontario. Awesome. Jasmine from Yellowknife, NWT. Thank you, thank you. Learn something new today. Gazelle Intense. Maria Veronica, awesome, from England, UK.
So we always end with a verse, and this is really like, this was the verse that we got intense about, right?
Mhm.
In that journey of 16 months paying it off, and the verse is this:
The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender.
We didn't want
Proverbs 22, verse
yeah,
7.
we didn't want to be a slave anymore because we were stressed out of mind because we were in debt and we became a slave. We became a slave. We couldn't do anything. We were stressed. Creditors were calling us. It was like we don't want to become a slave to the lender anymore. We want to be the people. We want to be the people lending, right? Lending, right? So that was our intensity, and we prayed about it, and we thank God for this verse and through the Total Man Makeover.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like if you haven't haven't read this book, we're such a believer on this, and really like we're passionate about this. So grab that book, Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. We don't get we don't get anything from it, but we just want to share that because that what changed our financial life and our marriage life as a whole.
If you want to get fired up about paying off your debts, because if you're really tired of debts like we did, I want you to search this after watching this. If you're watching this live on replay, search Debt Free Scream. Search Debt Free Scream and watch Debt Free Scream. And if you watch that, after watching Debt Free Scream, and come back to this post and say, I'm fired up. If you watch that, because after watching 2 or 3 or 4 of that, you can't sleep. You'd be like, my gosh, if this guy's gonna do that, I can. I'm gonna scream when these debts are over, right? So that is the thing. And we kept watching the Debt Free Screams, and we said, you know what, if they can do it, we can. So
awesome,
we want to encourage you today. Hope that gave you value.
Awesome.
That is another episode of
It's a new day. It's a new you. God bless you. Bye.